So we're really super excited to have our webinar today, Starting a Business in Florida. Diane McKeever is joining us, and really happy to have you with us. First and foremost, I want to make a gigantic announcement, which I'm really excited about, and that is that we recently found out that our chapter received the 2020 Diamond Excellence Award. And yes, I'm going to take a minute to brag about that. I hope nobody minds. Certainly, we do work hard here at SCORE Manasota to provide you with great workshops as well as mentoring within the organization. If you don't know a lot about SCORE, this is a national organization. We're part of the SBA. We have over 300 chapters across the country and over 10,000 volunteers. We are nearly 90 volunteers here at SCORE Manasota. And as you can imagine, the expertise that we have within our chapter is just amazing. It's one of the reasons why I joined this organization, just to be around extremely talented and intelligent human beings that provide so many people with great resources. We are here to help you, whether you are looking at starting a business, whether you're looking at, just the research and planning side of things, whether you're looking at growing a business, even if you're looking at selling a business, we have an exit strategy team with us in our chapter that are here to help you. And when we look at how we can help you, the best way we can help you is through mentoring. And I'm going to make my little pitch here and say, if you need help, please visit our website, manasota.score.org. And what you'll find on there in our website, which is super easy to navigate, you can request a mentor. And this is free for you. If you need help with any of the things I just mentioned, you have access to that. And you can also find workshops and webinars on our website, as well as locate a podcast or find more resources by browsing our library. So our website is full of information and resources for you in all regards, but certainly the mentoring is unsurpassed. And if you're looking for real help, that's something we can definitely work with you on. We want to thank our partners first and foremost. Without them, we couldn't be here, and we definitely love being here. So thanks to our community sponsors and partners for helping us with financial support and providing you with the resources and tools that you need to help with your business and success. And then I wanted to take a moment and introduce Diane. Diane is a fairly new member with our organization, but she has an amazing background, and I've recently recruited her to be on our education committee, and she's just jumping right in and helping with our chapter, as many of our talented members do. So I wanted to introduce Diane. Diane, why don't you tell folks a little bit about your background, and then maybe we can jump into the agenda.
Great. That sounds great. Thank you, Paula. As you said, I'm Diane McKeever. I had a software company that I helped corporate clients and their employees learn how to use software. I've had that for over 30 years. As you can imagine, 30 years ago, there was a great need for that. About 20 years ago, when it seemed like that need was dying back a little bit, I decided to switch gears a little bit and do some more web design, web page design. So at that point, I have created web pages for many of my clients, and they seem to be happy with them. More recently, in the last 10 years, I have been doing social media marketing on all of the platforms, which is really important these days. If you think you can have a business without both a good, strong web page and some good social media marketing, then I think you're missing the mark. So that's a little bit about me. I guess let's kick into our program. So our agenda for today, we've already talked a little bit about SCORE. We will be talking about that a little bit more, but we want to find out why do you want a business? We want to get you thinking about why you want to start a business, and maybe is that a good decision for you? We're going to talk about the difference between being in business and being an entrepreneur. Your goal is to be an entrepreneur. An entrepreneur is somebody who thinks flexibly and who can, when they encounter situations, start thinking about how to deal with it. So for instance, starting a business in 2021 with the pandemic still here, how does that impact your business, and should it? The truth is that there's always going to be impediments, and so this is this year's impediment, and you need to think about how you would handle that. We're going to talk about a very important tool, the business model canvas. Often we refer to this as a BMC, and this is a tool that is going to help you identify the various components that are needed in setting up a good, strong business. We're going to talk about business planning, how to create a business plan, and you're going to find that if you do a good job on the business model canvas, that the business plan is almost going to write itself. We're going to talk about the 10 steps in starting a business in Florida, and that includes any licenses and other forms that you may need to submit both to the state of Florida and perhaps locally. We're going to discuss making it legal and what might you want to talk to a lawyer or a tax accountant about. We're also going to talk about why businesses fail, and it's important to know why they fail as you're starting up. That doesn't seem like a very happy talk, but it's important that you understand why businesses fail so that you can sidestep these pitfalls. If you're ready for them, then you won't fail, and that's our goal, is to have you be successful. We're going to look at a business, a pizza business. We can all relate to a pizza business. And we're going to look at their simple profit and loss statement so that you understand that just because you have money in the till at the end of the day doesn't mean that you're making a profit. And lastly, we're going to encourage you to get a mentor. Would that be a SCORE mentor? I think so. Just get a mentor to coach you through this entire process. So let's get started on this. Is it a good time for you to start a business because of COVID? And we say absolutely yes, especially if you get a Manasota SCORE mentor to guide you through the process. You may have had experience in some aspect of a business and you think now that you could start that business, but do you really understand the entire aspect of it? You need to have a powerful business concept. Just because you understand one component of a business, it doesn't mean that you know the entire business. The business concept you have, we're going to talk about how you can develop that, but your business concept needs to be clear, well-defined, and you need to identify what's going to differentiate your business from everyone else's business. And we need to think about any business plan that might require some adaptation for any COVID restrictions that might still be around when you start your business. So next, we're going to talk about why you want to start a business. We'll look at this ILWE image and see if we can understand what your financial goals are relative to starting a business. The first one we'll talk about now is income. Let's go to the next slide. So income means, of course, that we're going to be replacing, or are you going to be replacing or enhancing the current income that you have? Do you currently have a job and you just want to have something on the side that's going to enhance your income? But your income really is helping to support your fundamental lifestyle. This is what pays the rent for you. It's not a growth, but it could potentially become a growth. Next, we'll look at lifestyle. You want to earn enough money that it actually changes your lifestyle. You feel that in a current situation, whatever your job currently is, you're making an amount of money, but does that amount of money really support the lifestyle that you would like to have? Do you have enough money that you have vacations that are available to you? Would you like to choose your own associates, clients, and employees? I think we all would like to do that, right? When you are self-employed and you're successful, you do actually have an opportunity to determine which client you're going to be working with. I know that I have passed on some great opportunities because I didn't really want to work with a client. If you have enough income, you can get to that point. Next, let's talk about wealth. Wealth is the longer term. Wealth is now you have an excess of money coming in, and you can now start saving, accumulating assets. And this is something that we need to do for consideration for the future. So usually when you're starting a business, you're not thinking so much about wealth. That's when you're getting into your business is now finally successful, and we can put some money aside. And lastly, in this equation, we're talking about equity. And equity is much more of a longer view. This is where we want to get to, where we can at some point retire and we have some financial independence. We have a net worth. Many people feel that this is out of reach, but if you do your homework, if you are working with your mentors, you can get here. This is something that will be a long-term goal, but I think if you work correctly, you can reach this level of income. All right, so let's get to it. What is a business? Well, of course, you know what a business is, any activity or enterprise that you enter into for profit. So you can see here, it can be anything from a hot dog stand or to the next Microsoft corporation, if you have that as a goal. It would be fine to leave and to stay there as a street vendor if that's your goal and it meets your wealth objectives. Well, how does that differ from being an entrepreneur? An entrepreneur is somebody who's willing to take chances, willing to design and organize a startup, and then manage that business venture, taking all the risks, and in order to make a profit. We really hope that at some point you would make a profit in this business. What do you need to start up your business? Well, the first and foremost, you need to have written business and personal goals. It's not enough to just think that maybe I would like to start a business and maybe I could make an extra $1,000 a month, or maybe I could make $50,000 a year. It has to be a written personal and business goals. You need a powerful business concept. We mentioned this before, not just an idea. Ideas are cheap. What we're talking about is a whole structure of a business concept. If you complete the business model canvas that we're going to be talking about in a moment, it will become clear to you whether or not you have a powerful business concept. And you also need adequate startup money. This is so important. People think that right away they're going to have money coming in and therefore they don't need backup money. Well, that absolutely is not the case, because you're going to run through that money pretty quickly and you won't have that as a backup. So you need to have adequate startup money. And we feel that you also can benefit from a SCORE mentor to guide you through this process so that you will understand all of the things that are going to be coming up. So we mentioned a few times the business model canvas. This is an example of the business model canvas. You can see that it's broken up into boxes. And in each of these boxes, you'll have an opportunity to write in it the content that should be in this. When we look at this, the most important box to start in is the value proposition. The value proposition is where you are saying, what is it that I'm doing? Paula, can you click, please? What is it that I'm doing? And this is where you are going to be putting in how you differentiate yourself from your other competitors. And then from that, we'll determine other things. You'll determine who your customer relationships are going to be with and what your distribution channels are and so forth. The second most important thing on this business model canvas is your customer segment. As you can imagine, as a social media marketing person, I am really keen on people identifying early the actual segments of the business, the people, the customers that you're going to be targeting. If you can't identify these well enough, then you won't understand where the marketing needs to go and whether or not your customer segment is really large enough. I have worked with people and their customer segment is so tiny, so well defined, that I'm not sure that it's large enough to support their basic goals. So we'll be focusing on this business model canvas. When we talk about your target audience, this is a comic that I saw this week, and I hope that you enjoy it. The mom is saying, "Any big plans for the day, Jeremy?" And of course, Jeremy, being a teenager, just kind of grunts. And she continues, "Look, I know you can speak. I see you talking to other people. Why won't you talk to me?" And he says, "You're not my target audience." So we need to know who your target audience is and where are they, because there's no point talking to the people who aren't your target audience. So we need to develop a simple business plan. This simple business plan is going to evolve very easily if you work on your business model canvas, your BMC. You need to practice your elevator speech. So imagine you're getting on an elevator and there's somebody else in the elevator and they say, I like the cut of your jib, as they say. I'll give you $10,000 if you can describe for me in the next 20 seconds what your idea is for a business. Well, with that as an incentive, I bet you could write an elevator speech and you could give it in 20 seconds. But this is something that you should write down so that when somebody says to you, "Tell me about your business," boom, you've got that right at the top of your head. My husband said that I excelled at going to cocktail parties and passing out my business card, because I could give you an elevator speech and thread that into a conversation before you even knew what was happening. So you need to get that very well defined. Your business plan is going to include your goals and objectives. This is what your financial goals are and your business objectives. Are you going to have a partner? What do you hope to achieve financially in the next 1, 3, 5 years? What are your action plans? How are you going to achieve this? It's one thing to have an idea, but what are the steps that you're going to take to get there? And what is your marketing and sales plan? This isn't just, I think I'll make a website, and I think maybe I'll throw out a Facebook page or two, and yeah, that'll probably do it. Well, you need more than that. You really need to allocate money for this, right? Because all of this doesn't come for free. So that is what is going to be included in your business plan. So we're going to talk about the 10 steps that you need to do in order to start a business. And numero uno on this, it shouldn't surprise you, we're saying get a Manasota score mentor. When you get a mentor, you actually have a whole group of people behind you. Your mentor will often bring in co-mentors, because not all of us, none of us knows every facet of every business, but there are people in our chapter who can help you. We have such depth of mentors. Check for local business permits and zoning requirements. If you're thinking about opening up a business in your home, you may not be able to do that. You may require a permit to do that, or it may not be allowed at all. You need to draft your BMC. Have we said this enough? Your business model canvas and your business plan. Both of those need to be in a draft format so that you can refer to it often. You need to get some expert help. You can't do this alone. The mentor is going to help you, but we are not accountants. We can guide you in what you'll need to ask your accountant, but we don't act as your accountant or your business lawyer. So you need to get some outside help. And you probably need to register you do need to register your business with the Florida State Secretary of State at sunbiz.org. In addition to these 5, you also need to see if you need a professional license. Is one required for you? There's a nice website at myfloridalicense.com that will help you determine that. Do you need a Florida tax ID and other permits? You need to obtain these. And how about your federal tax ID number, your EIN? This is really important. You're going to need this before you open up any bank accounts that you might be thinking about. And do you need to obtain a local business tax receipt? You know, they want to get their taxes paid. So if you're collecting taxes, you need to have the forms and the licenses required for it. And lastly, you need to open your business bank account. So be sure you get your federal tax ID number. Usually it comes very quickly, but in this time, I don't know how quickly they are doing that. So when you know what your business name is, you'll want to get that started. So now we're doing our simple business plan. We need to have a financial plan, what your startup cost is going to be, what your funding requirements are going to be. Paula, I think you need to click. Oh, I think you've gone too far now. Simple business
Okay,
plan.
let me go back. I think
24.
maybe there's this. Looks like there might be a slide out of order here. Hold on a second.
Okay, never mind. I see what the issue is. Okay.
Okay.
I think we're on the same. Oh, good. Okay, we're on the same one. So to make it legal, we strongly recommend that you meet with a business attorney. If it's just you and you don't have any partners, maybe it's less required that you have an attorney that you can refer to. But if you're working with anybody else as a partnership, either limited or general, or if you're thinking, even as a sole proprietor, that you would have an LLC, which would limit your liability, then you need to meet with an attorney and a good CPA. Do you want to have a subchapter S or C corporations? These are things that you need to focus on and talk to your advisor about them. So why do businesses fail? As I said, you know, this is a sad topic because we're thinking that we don't want to fail, but the primary reason why businesses fail is a lack of relevant business or management experience. You may be working in the local pet store and you worked there for a number of years and you said, by golly, this is an easy business. I think I could do this. But do you really understand the entire scope of what is needed to run a business like that? Do you know how to negotiate with your suppliers? Do you know how to negotiate with a landlord to get the best agreement that you can on your lease? So if you have one aspect of the business, that's great, but you really need a large scope of business management experience, and that is where SCORE can help you. Lack of planning. It's so easy to just say, I'm just going to open up that pet store and I'm going to specialize in cats or dogs or snakes or fish, but you need more than that. Insufficient capital. We talked about this already. Starting for the wrong reason. Maybe the reason you're starting is you said, I hate my job. I think I'll go in for business myself. Well, that's not enough of a reason. Maybe you need to do something about your job. Maybe you need to start working for somebody else, another company, or do a different aspect of the job. But don't jump into a business just because where you are right now is not the great place. If you have no website or social media presence, that's why businesses fail. If people can't find you, then they're certainly not going to be supporting you. Maybe you have a terrible location. Turned out that your little pet store, you opened it right next to a Petco. Not such a great idea. Need to be a little further away. Or overexpansion. That's another reason. I was just reading about two women who were starting a franchise, and they were going to be doing some kind of craft store. And right as they were introducing that, they were talking about opening up a second and third store. And I thought to myself, my goodness, let's see if you can get this one to be successful before you then think about going on to your next adventure. So the business failure rates, these are sad numbers, but if you do your homework and are ready for it, maybe we can defeat some of these numbers. In year one, 20% of all startups fail. By year 3, it's up to 30, and by year 5, up to 50. Some people might have some more financial resources that they could depend upon, but wasn't enough for them to carry out beyond year 5. So just be aware of the business failure rate, and let's see if we can get you past these numbers.
Hey, Diane, one great resource here too, I just want to mention, one of the things you said is so pertinent when you're starting a business, the overexpansion piece. And there's a great book out there by Eric Ries. It's called The Lean Startup. And if you're looking at starting a business, that is a tremendous resource that goes over a lot of the points that you're talking about here. So I just wanted to give that a little bit of a resource too.
Great. Good shout out. Thank you. So we're going to talk a little bit about a profit and loss statement. Hopefully the loss will be not too big, but we're going to do a little profit and loss statement on a business, a pizza business, and we'll see whether this business is viable. Before we go to that, let's talk about some of the terms that are used in your profit and loss, in a profit and loss statement. Somehow I've lost my screen. Here we go. Paula, click once, please. Good. So, of course, we're talking about sales. We like sales. At the end of the day, you look in your cash register and you take out the money and you say, oh, yay, we made some money today. But then from the sales, we need to subtract cost of sales, the direct cost of sales. So what did those products cost? Did we have to pay the teenager who was manning the cashier in our pizza place? So we take our sales and we subtract our cost of goods sold, and then we come up with our gross profit. Our gross profit is before we actually get into our operating expenses. So from our gross profit, we add up all of our operating expenses, such as rent and utilities and insurance and car, if you have a delivery service. We add all of those and we subtract those from our gross profit, and that's how we get our net profit. So from here, I am going to share my screen, if I may. Continue. And I hope you can see my spreadsheet, Paula?
Yep, we can see it great. Yep, absolutely. You're on.
Okay, wonderful. So right now, this is a blank screen, but we've got some formulas in here to make this be an easier process, to make it an easier process. So we're going to open up our pizza place. Of course, we'll have to open it 7 days a week. It's going to be grueling as it is in the beginning, but we hope to sell a number of pizzas each day. So let's say that we sell, I don't know, $100 worth of pizza. And so at the end of a week, it would be $700. So I'm just going to put a little formula in here that says it equals 700 times 4, so that we find out what it is for the month. And so we can see that that's $2,800. So we have $2,800 in the till at the end of the month. And then we're going to sell some soda. And let's say that our soda for the month is going to be about $2.50. So again, that rolls it in and says, oh, okay, well, at the end of a year, you'll have income of $3,600. You see over here in my yearly column. So we've got income of 3,600, and that sounds great. But oh, wait a minute, we've got some costs involved in that. So we need to buy some flour and some tomatoes and some cheese. So of that 2,800, we're saying that about 1,300 is for our ingredients. And our soda is pretty cheap, but let's say it's about $50. And those pizza boxes that we need are very important, are about $75. So that 3,600 over here that we had seen earlier is not looking as good now when we look at the cost of those products that we're selling. And then we get down to the dreaded fixed expenses, because these are going to be fairly expensive. So we've got rent, let's say maybe that's $1,200 a month. We've got $250 in our phone. Our insurance is maybe $75. We have car expenses because we need that delivery. So we're going to do 200, oops, not 2,000, 200 in car expenses. We've got marketing. We can't forget that. You know, I'm high on that. We've got some miscellaneous supplies that we need. So that's not going to be too much, some sticky notes and such. The cost of the website, that's going to be an ongoing cost that we have to deal with. Some miscellaneous, there's always a miscellaneous. We'll just put in a little $10 for that. And our utilities, we need some electric and water. So we'll put in another 200 for that. So while it looked like we were doing pretty well with our pizza business, at the end of the year, you can see down here, we're going to be losing almost $5,000. Well, we'd also like to think that perhaps each month will not be flat. That right now we're assuming that for our first 12 months that it's going to not increase by month. And that's, we like to think that that's not going to be the case, that in fact we are going to increase our business each month. So I've put over here a little opportunity for us to say, well, I think my business can grow at the rate of 3% a month. So I'm going to put in 3%, and you can see that at the end of a year, we're still going to lose a little bit of money, but we're going to only lose about $1,200. So we might say, well, I think I can work harder than this. I think that this is not going to be $2,800. I think I can sell about $3,500 worth of pizzas. And so in fact, if you can do that, you can be profitable within the first year, just to the tune of $8,600, not a king's ransom, but will carry you forward. So putting together a little profit and loss statement, a little P&S for your business is a real eye-opener, isn't it? I also added a little fun feature down here, which says, okay, so we said we're going to be selling $3,500 worth of pizza. What does that translate into? How many pies do I need to make in order for that to be realized? This is just a little reality check. So let me see. If we sold our pizzas at $8, you can see that here in our first month, we would have to make 275 pizzas, or zoom over here to for the year, we'd have to make a total of 3,900 pizzas at the cost of $8. Well, if we brought that, the cost of the pizza, that what we charge for it, up to $10, you're going to see that that helps. We don't have to make quite so many in order to reach this same point. So I love Excel and I love playing with numbers, but I think it's really important that you spend a little bit of time and put something like this together so that you can see where you would be at the end of the year. And then you come in here at 3 months, at 6 months, and you see, you put in real numbers and you see how you really are doing. And that's going to help you assess whether or not you're going to be a success. And more importantly, it will give you when you know the pulse of your business, it will give you an opportunity to determine what changes you can make to your business so it can be more profitable. All right, back to you, Paula. I am going to stop sharing.
That is such a great Excel worksheet. I love that. I think that for many people, that's going to be so helpful and so useful. So I really appreciate that. Let me get back to the PowerPoint here. Also, there was a great insight as to labor costs as well. Obviously, we're looking at a startup, but maybe do you want to comment on that, Diane?
About the cost of labor? Well, you know, people are advocating for $15 an hour for people. But of course, when you think about it from a business point of view, it's a lot more than $15, because if you're paying somebody $15, they have benefits that you're paying for their Social Security. The cost of labor has to be added into it. And if you're not interested in spending a lot of your time doing the work yourself, it's going to be difficult for you. Okay, so let's wrap this up, right? Want to click, Paula? There we go. There we go. Okay, let's wrap this up. Let's see where we are at this point. What should you be working on? As we have said many times, your business model canvas. It's such a simple little document with simple boxes, but it is so powerful. You need to be working on your business marketing, your business plan. You need to determine what you need to get from a lawyer or from a legal team. Do you need contracts? Do you have a partnership? Make sure that partnership agreement not only is happy going in, but happy coming out. If one of you decides that you don't want to be part of the partnership, make sure there is something that transitions you out. Put together a profit and loss statement. And most of all, can we say this enough times? Get yourself a SCORE mentor to help coach you through it. Mentor or multiple mentors, because your mentor will probably bring in some other people to help you. So some useful information. There are a couple of books that you might be interested in exploring. One is Start Your Own Business. You can see that this is from Entrepreneur Media, and it is going to show you all of the things that you need to think about to start your business. And secondly, Awakening the Entrepreneur Within. Oh, it's so exciting. I love talking to entrepreneurs, to business owners who are really excited about their business. And if you are interested in owning your own business, you must be excited about it. So I hope you have enjoyed this. I think it's back to you, Paula.
Great. Thank you so much, Diane. That is such good information for folks to start taking a look at answering some important questions when they're starting a business. And we did have a couple of questions that came in. The shared in that book is it's by Eric Ries. It's called The Lean Startup, which is also another good book. I love Michael Gerber's book there, The Entrepreneur Within. Anyone that knows me knows that I have a book addiction. So, but I'm working on that too. I have a really good book that I've got to help me with that. So if you have questions, please feel free to post them in the questions. I'm also going to launch a poll because we love to know where you're coming to us from and what stage you're in starting a business. Also, your current business's yearly revenue. This helps us in planning workshops and making sure we're providing you with accurate information and information that you need. Getting a lot of thank yous to you, Diane, for providing this great information to folks. We definitely appreciate that. You're very welcome. So please fill out the poll here. Any other questions that you have, you can certainly type them in the Q&A. Alex, I think you're all set. Nabil had provided you with the question there, so you should be good there. And then as we look at, I'm going to just go into our next slide here after I end the poll. I'll give you just one more minute here to finish up the polling. Diane helped tremendously with promoting the SCORE mentor, and I just want to say, thank you for doing that, Diane, because I think that if anything, if you have questions, we have answers. We have experts, as you can see with Diane and her background in social media marketing. We have experts in marketing. We have experts in sales. We have data experts, technology experts that come in and can really help you. Also, if you want to give back and you're interested in volunteering with SCORE, certainly, again, on our website, you can find more information about that. Want a mentor, you can find that on our website as well. The workshops and meetups, our podcasts, and business scorecard articles. There's so much great information on our website. And certainly, we want you to evaluate and help us make our workshops and our webinars amazing for you. So please go onto our site and give us respond to the email that we're going to send out for this particular workshop, and fill out the survey. We got a couple of more questions here. Yes, there's a recorded version and the slides that will be sent to you post meeting here. So you will get all of that. Everyone that attended will receive that. Are there any COVID grants for women who lost their job and want to start a business? Diane, do you want to field that question?
I don't believe there's any COVID grants for startup businesses. I could be wrong about that because it isn't really my area of expertise, but I believe that's correct.
Mm-hmm. I believe that's correct as well. That's to my knowledge as well, not through the SBA at least. But there are other SBA loans available to folks who are starting businesses. And if you're interested in learning more about that, maybe reach out to one of us individually, and we can put you in touch with the right person to get you grant opportunities for women-owned businesses. Will Diane be taking clients? Yes, Diane will be taking clients. And you can certainly in your mentor form, you can note that she was the one that sparked your interest. A lot of
thank you
here
thank you for the compliment.
Yeah, that's definitely a major compliment. Great question here. I'm starting a virtual law practice targeting clients in Texas where I'm licensed. Does having a Texas PLLC foreclose the need for additional business licenses?
Oh,
I guess one of the questions is going to be, are you operating the business in Florida? And if so, that may impact the decision there with respect to that. So, Stephen, if you wouldn't mind, shooting us an email through the website. I think we need to get someone to really answer that question more specifically, an expert in that area when you're crossing state lines and the kinds of licenses you're going to need if you're operating that business in Florida. But you can do that in the mentor request. We do have, some folks that just come on for a specific reason where they have like one question that just needs to be answered, and you can put that in through the portal as well. He is operating in Florida, only marketing to Texas clients. Yeah. If you wouldn't mind, Stephen, just putting that in through the request form, I'd like to have someone that has specific expertise reach out to you and give you that answer. This gentleman, Jacob, I'm interested in finding a business partner or investor with me in a quick service restaurants franchise. Any ideas on where to begin in my search? Diane, any ideas there for folks?
Well, what flashed in my mind, of course, is if you're on Facebook, there are very interesting groups on Facebook, or another place, I should have finished my first thought, that in Facebook, there are business startup groups that you could join and post your question there. But this might also be an opportunity for you to go on LinkedIn if you're part of that and look for a business partner. That might be a better place if you are currently on LinkedIn. Great response. Do you have any other thoughts on Paula?
There's one site that that I've been on, I'm just trying to remember the name of it, and looking for business partners. Um, I'm trying to think of it. I recently learned of it, and I learned of it through SCORE, which was really interesting. I'm not sure if Nabil is still on here. I know he was in that presentation. Jacob, if you can drop your email address in the comments section in the chat, I'll email you once I get back into my computer and can look at that for you, and I'll send it over to you in an email.
I like Mohammed's question. He's a very creative person, and he's got a ton of ideas, and he's stuck. Too many questions and not enough answers. This is exactly the way one of my recent clients that I'm mentoring approached me. I had an initial phone call, and I said, well, tell me about your business. And he said, well, I've got 4 ideas, and even one for my wife. And I hope that she knew that she was being thrown under the bus like that. But I think that the mentors might be able to help you focus a little bit more, Mohammed, that make it easier for you to see which one might sound like the one that's going to work with you best and be most successful.
Yeah, I think that that's one of the great things about having mentors individually to sit down with you. They seriously will help you in getting you focused and realize these are people that have been involved in business for decades. So they know these challenges, they understand them very closely, and certainly can help you with that, Mohammed. So definitely get in there and request a mentor. Well, Diane, I think that's it for time. I certainly appreciate your time today and all of the information that you provided for us. One of the things that I wanted to ask you as we were going through the presentation, you talked about the difference between starting a business and an entrepreneur, and I wanted you to talk a little bit about how can you tell if someone is qualified to be an entrepreneur?
I think perhaps a test of whether or not you're an entrepreneur is how nimbly you think. That if you are a true entrepreneur and an obstacle comes your way, how do you deal with it? I'll never forget that I was in my business. It was very successful. I had a number of clients, but my biggest client was GTE at their headquarters building in Connecticut. And on a Saturday morning, I sat down with the newspaper, as I do every morning with my cup of tea, and I opened it up, and the headlines were GTE HQ relocating to Dallas. This is 50% of my business is now leaving. And that was devastating to me. So I had a little pity party for the weekend. And then I think it's important. Ice cream always helps. And I then thought about, all right, put on your big girl pants, and what are you going to do about this? And that was when I had an opportunity to pivot and think about how can I enhance my business, going more to the graphic design. Also, there were many headquarters in Connecticut. Let me approach GE, Aetna, and some of the other big companies. And I was able to get into those companies and was able to then very quickly pick up and move forward even without my biggest client. So to me, an entrepreneur is somebody who doesn't see problems, sees, perhaps bumps in the road that they can fix or conquer.
Yes, certainly some agile thinking is definitely one of the qualifications that you want to have in looking at this, and that problem solution mindset. I think a lot of it has to do with mindset. If you have the opportunity, folks, Carol Dweck has a great book on mindsets. Talks about the difference between a fixed and a growth mindset, and that's something that can really help you. Nabil did let me know the name of that site is cofounderlab.com. So if you're interested in finding business partners or someone to work with, that's a great place to start. I kind of, I'll say this, I look at it like a dating site. If you're looking at finding a partner, just be very, very picky about who you go into business with. It is kind of like a marriage. So, use that filter heavily, and definitely take the time to build and establish trust with people before jumping into a business opportunity with folks. I just throw out that word of caution to people. And then the other question that I was thinking about, Diane, with respect to startup money, and this is a question that I used to get all the time when I was a consultant, what's the right amount of money? Like, how much money is adequate amount of money for, starting a business? And here's the other thing, runway, how much runway does someone need in terms of startup money in order to become profitable where they don't need that money anymore? How do you determine that?
Well, I think I've heard that you need to have at least a year's worth of your expenses in the bank. So whatever it's going to cost you to live for a year, you should have that as a very minimum, assuming that your business may not make a profit in the first year, or even if it does make a profit, is it appropriate for you to put that money back into the business or take it out for your living expenses? So you may have to move back in with mom and dad or something to save on your expenses. But I think you need to have a minimum of a year's worth of expenses in the bank. In terms of the runway, that's a little bit harder to predict. I think it really depends upon the kind of business that you're in. There are some businesses that really have a slow traction to them, and you're going to require a little bit more money, or that they have a lot more upfront costs. One of my clients is trying to have a online shoe business, and I don't have great hope that she's going to be successful because she has zero money. And we helped with her P&S to determine that she actually has lost quite a few $100s in her first year of business, when she thought that since she had money in her hand, she was making money.
Yeah, that's something that definitely, as you dive into your business plan and even utilizing the simplicity of that profit and loss statement worksheet that you have there, Diane, which we will be sending that out, folks, with the presentation along with the recording for the Zoom call. So you'll have access to the worksheet, the PowerPoint, as well as the recording for the session that will be emailed out with the survey. So all of those resources will be available for you. But that will help you tremendously in looking at that. And then also, that worksheet can help you with sales projections and really understanding, what it is that you are estimating. And some of them could be estimates, and it could be based on a lot of research that you're doing with respect to, possibly competitive analysis and looking at your competition and how much of the market share they have, what percentage of the market share you think you're going to have. There's a lot of factors that can go into that when you're looking at developing, projections for your business plan. And that's, again, something that a mentor can help you with. So, those are the resources that you have available through SCORE, can really, catalyze your business. Diane, any final thoughts before we wrap up here?
I think, have we mentioned before, contact SCORE and sign up to get a mentor?
I think if we haven't said it once, we haven't said it 100 times.
Yeah,
I appreciate you, Diane. I mean, it's fantastic. It is. It absolutely is. And I think, I tell my story about why I got involved with SCORE, and that is one of the primary drivers when I made my transition from working in academia to being an entrepreneur. One of my very close friends was a SCORE mentor, and I never signed up for SCORE mentoring because I had him. But that was the reason that I came on and volunteered with this organization, because they did make such a tremendous difference in my business and honestly in my entrepreneurial life. So thank you all for attending. We do appreciate you. Please fill out the survey. That helps us to make sure that we're providing you with the services that you need. And Diane, we look forward to seeing you again in the near future.
Absolutely. I would love to do this again.
All right. Thank you, Diane.
Thank you. Bye-bye.